What if I told you that most of the incredible, mind-blowing advice you've consumed, the stuff from the super successful, the multimillionaires, the true geniuses of our time, is actually setting you up for failure? I know, it sounds provocative. Maybe it's even a little insulting to those titans of industry we all look up to. But bear with me for a moment. Think about it. You've probably spent countless hours, even years. You've diligently followed paths laid out by exceptional individuals. You've been told to hustle harder, to wake up at 4 a.m., to meditate, to network relentlessly, to find your passion and follow your dreams. You've internalized wisdom like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You've heard, good things come to those who wait, and if you just keep pushing, it'll all work out in the end. You've probably done all of it. You've worked your tail off. You've read the books, listened to the podcasts, attended the webinars. You've shown up day after day. You've tried to apply these profound insights to your own life, your own career, and your own financial goals. And yet, for many of you, that elusive wealth, that sense of effortless success, still feels perpetually out of reach. It feels like you're doing all the right things. You're hitting all the check boxes the gurus told you to tick, but the needle on your personal wealth meter just isn't moving at the speed you were promised. Maybe it's moving, but at a glacial pace. This leaves you feeling frustrated. You wonder if you're missing some secret ingredient. You wonder if there's some hidden truth that everyone else seems to have found. Then you see them. You know who I'm talking about. The people who seem to effortlessly accumulate wealth. They just have it. They're usually incredibly sharp and quick-witted. They possess an almost uncanny sense of judgment. Or maybe they're just insanely well-connected. They were born into circumstances that smooth every wrinkle out of their path. Perhaps they're just plain unbelievably lucky. They stumble into opportunities that would make anyone else's head spin. They radiate an aura of, I've got this. It's an almost serene confidence that comes from a life where things simply work out. When they speak, their advice often sounds profound, almost spiritual. Don't rush, they'll tell you with a knowing smile. It'll all work out. Trust the process. And for them, truly, it often does. Their inherent gifts, their starting positions, their sheer good fortune conspire to make their journeys feel less like a grind. They feel more like a gentle upward glide. But here's the deception. Here's the critical, uncomfortable truth nobody wants to talk about. The real problem isn't necessarily their advice itself. It's not that their strategies are inherently bad or malicious. It's our assumption. Our dangerous, often subconscious assumption that their path applies to us. The fundamental, inconvenient reality is that most of us aren't born with a quote-unquote gold spoon in our mouths. Most of us don't possess a photographic memory. We don't have an IQ in the top 1% of 1%. We're not connected to venture capitalists before we even hit high school. We don't have a seemingly endless trust fund or a family legacy to fall back on. Most of us, frankly, are just average. Pretending otherwise, trying to force ourselves into a mold designed for giants, is the biggest trap. It's the most heartbreaking waste of your precious time and energy. It's time to stop trying to be someone you're not. It's time to start leveraging who you truly are. That, my friends, is where the real unfair advantage lies. Let's get brutally, uncomfortably honest for a moment. Let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. This uneven playing field is something nobody wants to talk about in polite conversation, especially not in self-help aisles. Some people, through no fault or credit of their own, are simply dealt a better hand in this game of life. It's not a moral judgment. It's just a cold, hard fact. They possess innate intelligence that allows them to grasp complex concepts in an instant. They have superior judgment. It's an almost prescient ability to make the right call in high-stakes situations. Perhaps it's advantageous genetics, affording them boundless energy or an unshakable presence. Maybe they come from influential backgrounds. This opens doors and provides resources that the rest of us can only dream of. Or, let's be frank, they might just have incredible, consistent luck. They repeatedly find themselves in the right place at the right time. These individuals, these chosen few, operate in a fundamentally different reality. For them, effortless success isn't just a marketing slogan. It's often their lived experience. They brainstorm an idea and within weeks it has traction. They invest in a company and it skyrockets. They launch a passion project and it organically grows into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Their world combines natural gifts and favorable circumstances. These conspire to create a path of least resistance. Big wins often flow to them with surprising ease. Because they are successful and achieved remarkable things, they naturally become our thought leaders and guides. They write the best-selling books. They give the inspiring TED Talks. They share their secrets to success, their personal philosophies, and their daily routines. And we, the hungry, striving majority, consume their content with almost religious fervor. We cling to every word, anecdote, and piece of wisdom. We believe with every fiber of our being that their strategies are universally applicable. We think, if I just follow their steps, if I emulate their mindset, then I too can achieve that level of success. But here's the harsh reality. Their world is fundamentally different from ours. Their advice, while potent for them, often falls flat when transplanted into our more ordinary lives. Trying to apply their strategies, unfiltered and unadapted, is like trying to use a master chef's recipe when you only have a microwave and a can of beans. The ingredients, the tools, the starting conditions, they're all wrong. The vast, overwhelming majority of people reside in what we'll unapologetically call the average zone. This zone is where most of us live. It's crowded and competitive. Talent is distributed along a bell curve, and most of us sit squarely in the middle. We are perfectly capable, perfectly competent, but not necessarily exceptional. And that, my friends, is not a criticism. It's a crucial distinction. This average zone demands a completely different playbook, an entirely different set of strategies than those preached by the 1%. Ignoring this reality, stubbornly trying to fit a square peg into a genius-shaped hole, means chasing advice not designed for you. It means feeling inadequate when their simple steps yield no results. It means burning yourself out trying to replicate magic. This magic relies on innate gifts or immense privilege you simply don't possess. It means living in a constant state of frustration, always comparing yourself to an unreachable ideal. You always wonder why their breakthroughs aren't your breakthroughs. But what if I told you that recognizing and accepting your place in this average zone isn't a limitation? What if it's actually your greatest asset, your most potent, unfair advantage? Because once you acknowledge this truth, once you stop pretending to be a genius and embrace your own inherent, powerful ordinariness, an entirely new world of strategic wealth building opens up. A world where you don't need to be lucky or connected or exceptionally brilliant to win big. You just need the right playbook. So let's dive into the core mechanics. Let's explore 3 crucial strategies. These transform your average status from a perceived weakness into an undeniable superpower for building significant wealth. Our first strategy, arguably the most counterintuitive, is this: don't trust your brain. Instead, leverage proven systems. This sounds almost sacrilegious. The world constantly tells you to think outside the box, to innovate, and to be original. And for the true geniuses, that advice is gold. Their brains are wired differently. They see connections others miss. They possess an innate ability to synthesize vast amounts of information, identify novel patterns, and conceptualize groundbreaking solutions that defy conventional wisdom. They thrive on originality. And when they succeed, we celebrate their brilliance. We celebrate their courage to forge a new path. But here's the trap for the average person. Our natural inclination, fueled by stories of genius innovation, is to emulate that. We feel compelled to invent and innovate. We try to find unique solutions to problems. These problems often already have perfectly good, well-established answers. We think we need the next big idea, the revolutionary product, the never-before-seen service. So we spend countless hours, even years. We try to outsmart established systems. We attempt to reinvent the wheel, to build a better mousetrap from scratch. This is a recipe for wasted time, resources, and profound frustration. For every truly original idea that reshapes an industry, there are thousands of mediocre attempts. These attempts simply fizzle out. They cost their creators a fortune in time, money, and emotional energy. The simple truth is, most of us lack the specific combination of insight, capital, connections, and sheer luck that makes true, groundbreaking originality viable. The average person's path to wealth is not through invention. It's through adoption. Instead of building the next Google or Amazon, focus on leveraging existing, validated structures. Think about software development. Imagine a new developer, fresh out of coding boot camp. They're trying to build a complex web application. If they tried to write every line of code from scratch, from networking protocols to user interface elements and database interactions, they would be overwhelmed. They'd make countless errors. It would take them years, if ever, to complete. They'd have to build their own operating system, their own programming language, their own graphical libraries. It's an absurd proposition. What do skilled developers actually do? They utilize open source libraries. These are massive repositories of proven, pre-built components. Other developers have already created, tested, and refined them. Need a way to handle dates and times? There's a library for that. Need to connect to a database? There's a library for that. Need to create a responsive user interface? There are frameworks and libraries galore. They don't write every line of code from scratch. They stand on the shoulders of giants. They adopt and integrate these reliable, battle-tested components into their own projects. This allows them to build powerful, complex applications quickly and efficiently. They focus their limited creative energy on unique integration and specific features that differentiate their product. They don't rebuild foundational elements. This is the adopt, don't invent mindset in action. Let's apply this to finance. Many aspiring investors, full of intellectual bravado, spend countless hours poring over company reports. They try to pick the next Apple or the next Tesla. They read about Warren Buffett's incredible stock picking prowess and believe they can replicate it. But picking individual stocks to consistently beat the market is incredibly difficult. Even seasoned professionals with dedicated teams and billions of dollars in resources struggle. It requires deep, fundamental analysis. It needs a sophisticated understanding of macroeconomics. It requires an ability to predict market sentiment, incredible emotional discipline, and often a hefty dose of luck. Studies show the vast majority of individual investors who pick stocks consistently underperform the market. This is after fees and taxes. They get emotional, chase fads, sell low and buy high. They often end up losing money. For the average person, a proven system is remarkably simple, yet profoundly effective. Many financial advisors recommend focusing on low-cost, diversified index funds or exchange-traded funds called ETFs. These track broad market performance, like the S&P 500. What are these? Instead of trying to pick one winner out of 500 companies, An S&P 500 index fund literally buys a tiny slice of all 500 largest publicly traded companies. You get instant diversification. If one company struggles, it's a tiny blip. If the market as a whole grows, which it has consistently done over long periods, your investment grows with it. There's no need to outsmart the market. You simply become the market. These funds often have extremely low fees. This means more of your money stays invested and compounds over time. Warren Buffett, the greatest investor of all time, advises most people to simply buy and hold index funds. Why? Because it's a proven system that has consistently delivered wealth for generations. It requires zero genius level stock picking ability. You adopt the system. You don't invent a new one. Consider a business example. The allure of launching a novel business concept with unknown market demand is strong. We romanticize the startup founder who builds something from nothing. They bring an unprecedented product or service to the world. And yes, a few do succeed spectacularly. But for the average entrepreneur, this is an incredibly high-risk endeavor. You have to validate the market, develop the product, establish a brand, and build a supply chain. You must attract customers and survive years of potential losses. All of this happens without a proven blueprint. The failure rate for new businesses is notoriously high. This is often due to a lack of market demand or operational inefficiencies that haven't been ironed out. What's a proven system here? Consider a franchise model. When you buy into a franchise, like a well-known fast food chain or reputable service business, you're not inventing, you're adopting. You're buying a proven brand and an operational blueprint. You get a proven supply chain and often proven marketing materials. The risk is significantly reduced because someone else already figured out how to make the business work. You're not trying to discover product market fit, it's already there. Your job is to execute the established system well. If a franchise isn't for you, you could adapt a successful existing business concept. Apply it to a new, underserved niche. Instead of creating an entirely new type of restaurant, open a specialized version of a popular cuisine in a town that lacks it. Or focus on a specific dietary need within that cuisine. You're leveraging established demand and proven concepts. This reduces the need for costly experimentation and revolutionary insight. This approach isn't about lacking creativity. It's about channeling your creativity into execution and refinement. Work within a robust existing framework rather than squandering it on high-risk, unproven invention. Our second strategy builds on accepting your average status. It turns this into a genuine superpower. Embrace your average superpower. This might sound counterintuitive. How can being average be a superpower? Isn't success about standing out, being unique and exceptional? Yes, for geniuses it is. But for everyone else, your greatest strength is your relatability. Think about it. If you're average, your thoughts, ideas, and intuitions likely align with the vast majority. Your desires and frustrations do too. You are, by definition, representative of the mass market. This isn't a weakness to overcome. It's an unparalleled advantage. You can understand what millions of people want, what problems they experience, and what solutions they will readily adopt. Geniuses, by nature, are outliers. Their minds often operate on a different frequency. They might find common problems trivial or common solutions mundane. They might conceptualize products or services that are intellectually brilliant. But these are often incomprehensible or unappealing to the average person. They often struggle to understand why people do that. They wonder why people gravitate towards simple pleasures or established norms. This is because their own internal wiring constantly seeks novelty and complexity. This detachment from the common experience can be a significant blind spot when trying to serve the mass market. Your ordinariness, your averageness, gives you a direct, unfiltered line to the consumer's psyche. When you have a first thought about a product, service, or content, recognize it. This initial, unvarnished reaction is a powerful reflection of broader public sentiment. If you think a certain advertisement is confusing, chances are millions of others will too. If you find a particular feature in an app frustrating, you're likely not alone. If you're bored by a piece of content, it's probably not resonating with a wide audience. Your gut reactions are a focus group of one. They represent the collective subconscious of the average consumer. Let's use a music industry analogy. A genius composer might create a symphonic masterpiece. It could be intricate and complex, appreciated by critics and a niche audience. But it's often the average songwriter, tapping into universal themes, themes of love, heartbreak, or simple joy. They use familiar chord progressions and relatable lyrics. They create chart-topping hits that resonate with millions globally. Their genius lies not in complexity, but in universality. They instinctively know what will move the masses, because they are, in essence, one of them. The application of this superpower is profound. Use this insight to develop products, services, or content that genuinely resonates with the average person. Don't dismiss your initial, plain, or obvious idea as not smart enough. Often, your initial straightforward thought is the most marketable. This is precisely because it speaks to the most people. The key is to objectively refine and improve that initial average thought. Focus on excellent execution, clear communication, and superior customer experience. Don't discard it for something smarter or more intellectual that few will understand or care about. Build a better version of what people already want. Don't try to convince them they want something entirely new and complex. Your average brain is your secret weapon for market research. Learn to trust its signals and execute on those insights with excellence. Now we arrive at our third most liberating strategy, the power of strategic quitting and extreme focus. Geniuses, again, operate in a different realm. Their cognitive capacity allows them to juggle many options. They keep complex variables in their heads simultaneously. They can spin multiple plates without dropping any. They can dabble in a dozen ventures and pivot effortlessly. They often find success in several areas at once. Their raw intellectual horsepower and vast resources enable this breadth. But for the average person, this paradox of choice is destructive. Too many options, projects, and areas of interest. Too many potential paths to pursue. This doesn't lead to diversified success. It leads to paralysis, decision fatigue, and mediocrity. When you spread your limited intellectual energy, finite time, and average processing power across too many endeavors, you become okay at everything. You become excellent at nothing. You dilute your efforts and ensure that none of them reach their full potential. The path to wealth for the average person is defined less by what you will do. It's defined far more by what you won't do. It requires ruthless, deliberate narrowing of focus. Concentrate on one or two core areas. Apply your full, albeit limited, intellectual energy there. This is about strategic quitting. It means consciously saying no to opportunities, even good ones. Say no if they don't align with your singular chosen path. Let's use an analogy from real-time strategy games, or RTS games. Imagine playing a complex game like StarCraft against a professional player. In these games, you manage a sprawling economy. You build multiple types of units, research different technologies, and scout your opponent. You defend your base and launch coordinated attacks. All this happens simultaneously, in real time. A professional player can juggle all these balls with incredible efficiency, making split-second decisions across the entire map. Now, imagine you're an average player. If you try to manage everything at once, like the pro, you will be overwhelmed. You'll make mistakes, Your economy will falter, your units will be poorly managed, and you'll quickly lose. But what if your only task, your singular objective, was to perfectly manage one production building? Say, one barracks that produces a specific type of soldier. You wouldn't need to worry about economy, tech, scouting, or multiple unit types. Your entire mental energy would concentrate on optimizing that one barracks. Ensure it's always producing. Upgrade it at precisely the right moment. Keep its queue full. You might not win the entire game against the professional, but at that one specific task, you might just match or even beat the pro. This is because you poured all your focus into it. The pro must spread attention across the entire vast game. This intense singular focus allows you to compete effectively, even against superior overall talent within a highly constrained domain. This one barracks analogy applies directly to building wealth. You can't be a master of everything, but you can be a master of one thing. Consider investors who specialize. Instead of trying to invest in stocks, bonds, crypto, real estate, commodities, and private equity all at once, they might focus solely on one asset class. For example, specific types of commercial real estate in a particular geographical market, or small cap value stocks within one industry. They resist diversifying into every trendy new opportunity. Their depth of expertise within that narrow niche becomes their undeniable competitive edge. They understand the nuances, risks, opportunities, players, and cycles within their chosen domain. They know it far better than any generalist ever could. This extreme focus allows them to make incredibly informed decisions. They uncover opportunities that others, with a broader, shallower focus, simply miss. Similarly, for entrepreneurs, this means resisting the urge to chase every shiny new object. It means not diversifying into unrelated businesses. It means focusing on one highly specific niche for decades. Instead of being the everything store, they might be the only store for ethically sourced artisanal coffee beans for home brewing enthusiasts. Or the go-to service for SEO specifically for dental practices in the Midwest. They don't try to serve everyone. They serve a very specific someone incredibly well. Their depth of expertise, unwavering commitment to that narrow market, and accumulated brand recognition become their competitive moat. This isn't about limiting ambition. It's about amplifying your impact. Concentrate your limited resources where they can do the most good. Dominate a smaller, more manageable pond. Don't flounder in a vast, overwhelming ocean. Strategic quitting allows you to say no to 1,000 distractions. Then you can say an emphatic yes to the one thing that will truly move the needle for you. So, what's the impact of embracing these strategies? How does this seemingly unglamorous path actually lead to extraordinary results? This brings us to the unsung hero of wealth building, especially for the average person: consistency. The path we've outlined involves implementing proven systems. It means leveraging your average insights to understand the mass market. It requires maintaining extreme, almost brutal focus. This path is rarely glamorous. In fact, most of the time, it's downright boring. It involves repetitive, sometimes monotonous work. It's showing up every single day. Make the right investment contributions. Refine your niche product. Execute your established business blueprint even when nothing exciting is happening. And this, precisely this, is where most people, and especially those with a genius-level intellect, tend to falter. Think about why geniuses often get bored. Exceptional minds crave novelty. They thrive on intellectual stimulation. Once they grasp a principle and understand a system, their minds often seek the next challenge. They want the next puzzle to solve, the next frontier to explore. They often find the easy money strategies too simple or too obvious. They might even overcomplicate them, not out of necessity, but for the sheer intellectual satisfaction of building a more intricate, complex solution. They invent new ways to trade stocks when index funds work perfectly well. They try to build a revolutionary app for a problem a simple spreadsheet could solve. Their brilliance can, paradoxically, be their undoing. It hinders the simple, sustained execution required for compounding wealth. They move on, always chasing the next big thing. They leave a trail of partially completed but conceptually brilliant projects in their wake. Now, consider your situation as an average person. Your secret weapon, your ultimate unfair advantage, is your ability to stick with a consistent, effective routine. Do this even when it's boring. Do this even when it lacks immediate gratification. Do this especially when intellectual fireworks aren't going off. This is not a weakness. It is a profound strength. Let's look at consistency's future outlook. In the best case scenario, for the average person committed to this boring consistency, results are almost inevitable. Imagine diligently contributing to your diversified index fund. Do this every month, year after year, through market ups and downs. The power of compounding returns, the slow and steady accumulation of wealth, will transform modest, consistent efforts into substantial, life-changing sums over decades. Or consider the niche business owner who consistently delivers excellent service in their narrow field. Their reputation grows, word of mouth spreads, and customer loyalty builds into a formidable economic engine. They may not be famous, but they become wealthy. The worst case scenario for this consistent average approach isn't financial ruin. It's usually just a slower pace of growth during challenging times. Perhaps a market downturn temporarily reduces your investment balance, or a recession causes a temporary dip in your business revenue. But you are anchored to proven systems and sustained effort. These are merely temporary setbacks. You continue to contribute, you continue to execute. When the economy or market inevitably recovers, you are perfectly positioned to benefit. This can potentially accelerate your growth. You might not become a billionaire overnight, but you build a stable, resilient financial fortress. Now contrast this with a genius, or an average person trying to mimic one without the underlying talent or resources. For them, in the best case, they might get lucky once, stumble upon a viral trend, make one incredibly fortuitous investment that pays off big. But without consistent application of proven principles, these successes are often fleeting. They are impossible to replicate. They hit a jackpot, but they haven't built a sustainable system for wealth creation. In the worst case scenario, far more common, lack of consistency leads to a perpetual cycle of starting over. They abandon investments at the first sign of trouble. They chase the next hot stock or crypto craze. They launch business after business. Each one fails to gain traction. They couldn't endure the monotonous grind required for sustained growth. They become a jack of all trades, master of none. They leave a trail of discarded ideas and depleted bank accounts. They are always chasing the dream, never quite grasping it. This is because they cannot commit to the long, unsexy march of consistent execution. This brings us to the deepest impact of all, mastering your emotional game. The biggest hurdle to consistency isn't a lack of ability. It's emotional fatigue. It's the incessant, insidious whisper in your mind. It tells you to do your own thing, to trust your gut, even when your gut screams to abandon a proven, boring path, to abandon it for something new and exciting. It's the seductive pull of novelty, the desire for instant gratification, or simply the powerful, draining force of boredom. These emotions can derail even the most well-intentioned average person. They are the true enemies of long-term wealth building. Successful average people don't suppress these emotions, they learn to manage them. They develop routines and rituals to build emotional resilience. It could be a simple, non negotiable ritual, like a specific type of daily exercise that helps clear their head, a meditation practice that anchors them, or even just scheduling regular breaks to avoid burnout and reset their focus. They acknowledge the urge for novelty, the desire to deviate, the fleeting excitement of a new opportunity. But they deliberately and consciously choose the path of sustained, focused effort. They understand that while their genius counterparts might effortlessly ride the waves of their intuition, the average person must construct a sturdy, consistent vessel to navigate the waters. This isn't about being passionless or robotic. It's about channeling your passion not into grand, fleeting ideas. It's about channeling it into the process of consistent, disciplined execution. It's about finding satisfaction in small, incremental victories. These accumulate into monumental gains over time. It's understanding that long-term results, multi-million-dollar outcomes, are the direct reward for enduring the unglamorous, sometimes frustrating middle. This emotional mastery is the ability to show up, do the work, and stick to the plan. Do this even when every fiber of your being wants to do something else. This transforms simple strategies into truly extraordinary financial success for the average person. It's the ultimate discipline that underpins all others. So let's bring it all back together. What have we uncovered? You don't need to be a genius to build substantial wealth. You don't need exceptional talent, a golden spoon, or incredible luck. What you need is a profound sense of self-awareness. It's the courage to accept your average reality. See it not as a limitation, but as a strategic advantage. You need the discipline to follow proven paths. Don't trust your unique brilliance to invent something new. Leverage existing, validated structures and systems that have stood the test of time. You need to embrace your average superpower. Recognize that your thoughts, intuitions, and desires align with the vast majority. This gives you an unparalleled advantage in understanding and serving the mass market. You need to master the art of strategic quitting and extreme focus. Ruthlessly say no to distractions and opportunities that don't align with your singular, chosen path. This allows you to concentrate your limited energy and dominate a specific, manageable domain. And finally, you must cultivate unwavering, boring consistency. Power this with emotional discipline. Understand that the long, unsexy grind is your ultimate weapon. Learn to manage the internal battles that threaten to pull you off course. This isn't just theory, this is a practical, actionable roadmap for any average person. It's a way to achieve truly extraordinary financial success. It is a playbook designed specifically for your reality, your strengths, and your potential. It's about building wealth on your own terms, without pretending to be someone you're not. If you're ready to stop chasing genius-level advice that was never designed for you, then it's time to take action. If you're ready to start building real, tangible wealth by leveraging your own profound average power, check out the resources linked in the description below. Find actionable steps on applying these principles today. Your journey to an unfair advantage begins now.